A focused alert. The next 48 hours demand deliberate restraint and careful posture. According to the message we are examining, this interval is not typical. It is described as a high-stakes window intended to test those described as chosen. The primary instruction is counterintuitive. Refrain from overextending, avoid impulsive generosity, and conserve personal resources. The rationale offered is practical. Giving away strength now risks weakening capacity for what the period is intended to produce. To put the claim plainly, this is a temporary directive. It does not advocate long-term withdrawal from responsibility or compassion. Instead, it asks for short-term discretion so the individual can preserve the energy required for a consequential turning point. The metaphor used frequently is that of containment. Protect what is inside you so that the opportunity or shift that follows arrives into something intact rather than depleted. This message frames prior challenges as preparation rather than punishment. Closed doors, drifted friendships, and failed opportunities are recast as alignment. Adjustments that kept individuals away from exposures that would have been damaging. In that light, the present instruction is coherent. If the recent past was a period of shaping, then this 2-day segment functions as refinement, a concentrated phase in which the work done earlier crystallizes. The text describes a rise in pressure that manifests physically and emotionally. A tightening in the chest, an uneasy stomach when asked to compromise, a constriction in the throat when tempted to silence what should be said. Those sensations are presented not as anomalies, but as signals. The recommendation is to respect them. What the messenger calls the universe is signaling that the threshold of release is near. These bodily cues are the organism's way of registering the shift. To interpret these signals practically, pay attention to discomfort that correlates with requests to give time, money, or emotional labor. Notice when an automatic yes feels wrong. Use those moments as data points for boundary setting rather than guilt-based override. The guidance here is to test impulses before acting. Observe, reflect briefly, decline if necessary, and keep your reserves for what arrives after the window ends. A recurring image in the source describes the self as a dam that has accumulated pressure over time. Every sacrifice, every silence, and every burden added to that storage. The narrative claims that a crack is forming now, that accumulated force will move forward. Importantly, the release may not be dramatic. It can be subtle, an unspoken presence that changes how conversations proceed or how rooms react to you. This description has 2 practical consequences. First, it explains why early restraint matters. If the reservoir empties by diffusing attention on others now, the subsequent release will be thin. Second, it reframes the expected manifestations of change. The release may look like shifts in social energy and opportunity alignment rather than immediate material breakthroughs. Presence becomes the primary vector. How you occupy space communicates readiness more than any announcement. Change does not arrive without friction. The account anticipates a return of past patterns and the reappearance of people or circumstances that once drained capacity. These are characterized as tests, verification of what has been built. The text asserts that true change reveals itself by withstanding such tests. Like metal forged by heat, endurance becomes confirmation rather than destruction. Practically, this means you should expect distractions and challenges to reappear as you approach this threshold. Do not interpret their presence as regression. Instead, treat them as indicators that the shift is real. Maintain your posture, steady boundaries, selective engagement, and a refusal to re-enter old dynamics for the sake of temporary comfort or approval. The central behavior advised is protective withholding. Where the instinct may be to fix, rescue, or give, the immediate instruction is to hold back. The text proposes that giving freely during this precise window converts generosity into liability. The strategic alternative is disciplined discretion. offer time and support to those who have earned reciprocal investment, and decline requests that would dilute the specific reserves you need. This approach has ethical considerations. It acknowledges the moral impulse to help and frames the temporary refusal as responsible stewardship rather than moral failing. The idea is that by conserving resources now, you are better positioned to contribute meaningfully at a moment when your influence will have multiplied effect. In other words, the short-term pullback serves long-term service. The account pays attention to both waking sensations and nocturnal material, changes in dreams, recurrent faces from the past, and vivid impressions upon waking. These phenomena are treated as messengers. They reflect inner reorganization and external confirmation. The recommendation is pragmatic. Keep a simple record, note recurring imagery, and use it to inform decisions. Do not chase every dream for supernatural meaning. Instead, evaluate patterns that align with waking intuition and acting consistently signals. This practice is less about mysticism and more about reflective monitoring. By recording and reviewing patterns, particularly those that coincide with requests for overcommitment, you create a feedback loop that reinforces boundary maintenance. The body, the mind, and the external signs are treated as a single system that can be read for guidance. Isolation is reframed across the message. When connections blur or fade, that narrowing is interpreted as deliberate calibration rather than abandonment. The recommendation is to accept reduced social bandwidth as protective. Too many voices dilute clarity. In that sense, solitude is concentration, strategic and functional. For implementation, reduce low-value interactions during the 2-day window. Prioritize contacts that align with the immediate objectives or those who provide genuine, reciprocal support. Keep social energy for exchanges that matter and defer peripheral obligations. This is not a permanent posture. It is a targeted tactic to retain coherence during a time of potential realignment. A critical claim is that when the dam releases, timelines compress. Activities that once took months may accelerate into days and weeks. The message stresses readiness, operational systems, simple decision protocols, and brief contingency plans should be in place so that incoming opportunities can be acted upon quickly and sustainably. Practical steps include clearing small administrative tasks, centralizing contact information for key allies, preparing concise proposals or one-page summaries for projects, and ensuring basic financial and logistical buffers are functional. The intent is to avoid scrambling when momentum materializes. The advice is not to produce elaborate plans now, but to reduce friction so that swift, aligned moves can be made when necessary. As momentum builds, relationships will either support or resist the new pace. The counsel is clear. Match proximity to alignment. Some bonds will strengthen, others will fracture. The message discourages chasing those who pull away. Instead, it invites acceptance of the sifting process. Those who remain will be few, but congruent with the direction. On a practical level, that means clarifying expectations with close collaborators and family where necessary, and letting go of connections that consistently drain energy without reciprocal investment. Refrain from public rejustifications. Instead, let actions and priorities communicate the shift. A frequent theme is reclaiming authority over one's time, attention, and resources. The argument reframes no as an exercise of sovereignty rather than as rudeness. It recommends making refusals calmly but firmly, without long explanations. The rationale is that lengthy defenses erode resolve and invite negotiation. Short, principled refusals preserve momentum for the 2-day window. The operational guideline is straightforward. Limit commitments. Decline non-essential help requests and protect rest and reflective hours. Use concise language when declining and, where appropriate, offer deferred alternatives rather than immediate engagement. The text emphasizes the idea that what follows the 2-day interval is not merely gain, but assignment. Increased opportunities, recognition, or resources are presented as responsibilities that must be carried with integrity. Therefore, conservation now is preparatory. Readiness to receive responsibly. Concrete steps to prepare. Review contractual, legal, and logistical basics. Create quick access lists for trusted advisors, and decide in advance what kinds of offers will be accepted and which will be declined. This reduces decision fatigue when offers arrive and ensures alignment with purpose rather than reaction. A central, cumulative claim is that this period leads to an unveiling of personal capacities, of true allies, and of structural opportunities. The unveiling will bring clarity, not just to you, but to those around you. It will reveal who supports the new alignment and who resists it. The recommendation is to face that view without flinching. Allow the revealing to be a sorting mechanism rather than a cause for regret. Operationally, that means preparing emotionally for both gain and loss. Celebrate the fortifying relationships and release the draining ones. Practice brief responses that communicate boundaries without moralizing. Accept that discomfort during transition is normal and that new configurations will follow. To translate these principles into action, consider a short checklist: limit giving, decline new requests that deplete core energy reserves, protect rest, prioritize sleep, minimal screen time, and short periods of focused reflection. Record signals. Keep a brief log of physical sensations, dreams, and recurring impressions. Prepare basics. Have contact lists, one-page summaries, and simple decision rules at hand. Clarify boundaries. Use brief, firm language when saying no. Avoid long explanations. Conserve presence. Reduce social obligations to essentials. Prioritize strategic conversations. Accept the sift. Observe relationship changes without chasing them. Let realignment proceed. Reserve resources. Keep a small operational buffer, time and money, for immediate opportunities. The next 48 hours are framed as a concentrated period of refinement, testing, and preparation. The call is to restraint, temporary, strategic, and purposeful, so you enter the subsequent phase intact and capable. Prior challenges are reframed as preparation. Present sensations are signals to be honored, and the future is described as a compressed timeline that rewards readiness. Part 2 will pick up from this threshold and outline how to manage the unveiling, steward emergent opportunities, maintain integrity under acceleration, and convert the momentum into enduring structures rather than short-lived gains. When you're ready, I'll continue with Part 2 and complete the full 2-part script. Picking up at the threshold of the 48-hour window, the next phase centers on unveiling, the moment when withheld capacity, clarified boundaries, and disciplined restraint translate into visible outcomes. Where Part 1 emphasized conservation and preparation, this section focuses on deployment, how to carry new momentum without mission drift, how to handle relationship shifts, how to make decisions at speed without sacrificing standards, and how to convert short surges into sustained structure. The core expectation remains measured. Opportunities will expand, but so will responsibility. The aim is not to chase volume, it is to build durability. Unveiling begins quietly. People may treat you differently before you announce anything. Meetings run smoother, replies come faster, and rooms feel less resistant. Rather than dramatize this, translate it into plans. Name the mandate in one sentence, what you're doing and for whom. Define a 90-day scope that expresses the mandate in concrete outputs. What will exist that doesn't exist today? List 3 enabling systems you need operational, e.g., simple CRM, monthly budget tracker, weekly review cadence. Pick one lighthouse metric for impact, e.g., clients served, projects shipped, hours of service delivered, dollars allocated. Unveiling is not complete because others notice. It is complete when noticing becomes structure. You anchor that shift by writing what you will do, how you will do it, with whom, and by when. Checklist. Unveiling to Plan 1 Toddard. One-sentence mandate. 2.3.90-day deliverables 4.5. Enabling systems to stand up 6.7. Lighthouse metric to report weekly. Keep this on a single page. If it does not fit, refine the scope. Acceleration compresses time. Without decision rules, you risk saying yes to what flatters and no to what fits. Adopt simple filters you can apply in minutes. Fit. Does this directly advance the mandate we named? Feasibility. Do we have the capacity to execute without harming health or core delivery? Fairness. Is the exchange balanced in time, money, or learning? Follow through. Can we measure the outcome within a defined window? If any one of these is a hard no, decline or renegotiate. When in doubt, use a 24-hour pause. Acknowledge the request, confirm receipt, and decide the next day. Speed matters. Clarity matters more. Template, 24-hour pause. Thanks for the invitation. Opportunity. It aligns with XYZ elements, and I need until tomorrow at HHMayMe to confirm capacity and next steps. This short pause protects quality while signaling professionalism. As your work becomes more visible, requests will increase. Advice, introductions, unpaid labor, last-minute favors. Boundaries are not rudeness. They are capacity management. Use a simple triage. Green, accept. High alignment, feasible, time-bounded, and measurable. Yellow, defer. Aligned, but not feasible now. Propose a future window or alternate path. Red, decline. Low alignment or unclear value exchange. Reply briefly and close. Two-line decline. Appreciate you reaching out. This isn't a fit for my current scope, so I'll pass. Wishing you the best with it. Explain less, not more. Explanations invite debate. Clarity invites respect. Acceleration reveals alignment. Some relationships stabilize and deepen, others stall or fray. Treat this as information, not a personal indictment. Build 3 circles. Circle A, core. 3 to 7 people whose counsel and collaboration you trust. Share priorities, metrics, and risks. Circle B, support. Wider network for referrals, occasional help, and mutual learning. Circle C, community. Respectful acquaintances. Keep warmth without obligations that overextend you. Adjust placement quarterly. Movement among circles is normal. The rule is mutual benefit and shared values, not history alone. When a relationship shows persistent drain with little reciprocity, reduce proximity without hostility. Silence can be a boundary. If a direct conversation is needed, stay factual. My bandwidth is limited. I'm narrowing commitments to mandate. I won't be available for X going forward. You cannot run sustained acceleration on depleted systems. Treat health as non-negotiable infrastructure. Body. Standardize bedtime, wake time. Block 20-30 minutes daily for movement. Plan meals that stabilize energy. Mind. Constrain inputs. Designate windows for messages and news. Keep at least 1 hour daily for deep work. Phone away. Heart. Practice brief debriefs after high-stakes interactions. Name what went well and what strained you. Choose one follow-up. Spirit values. Maintain a quiet practice. Prayer, reflection, journaling that reacquaints you with motive and pace. 2 micro habits for volatile weeks. 10-minute evening log. Wins, frictions, one fix for tomorrow. And minute morning intent. Top 2 priorities, one boundary to hold. These are small by design. Small survives turbulence. Momentum feels like wind at your back. Don't confuse it with a strategy. Convert surges into systems within 30 days. Cadence, a weekly 45-minute review. Metrics, commitments, blockers, next week's top 3. Kanban or task board. Visible to do, doing, done with owners and due dates. Budget snapshot. Monthly inflows, sanitary outflows. Reserve targets for runway and risk. Documentation. Short, living notes, meeting decisions, standard replies, checklists. This scaffolding preserves focus and reduces the hidden tax of redeciding the same things. Treat new inflows as a test of governance, not merely as relief. Use a simple allocation model. Mission, 50 to 60%. Direct costs that create your intended impact. Stability, 20 to 30%. Reserves, maintenance, insurance, and contingencies. Growth, 10 to 20%. Training, tools, and targeted experiments. Generosity, 5 to 10%. Giving that reflects your values. Quietly, if preferred. Publish a one-page internal report monthly, even if you work solo. Totals, allocation percentages, notable variances, and one corrective action. Transparency with yourself and any partners compounds trust and improves decisions. Acceleration tempts overcommitment. Adopt guardrails. Max concurrent projects. Set a cap, e.g., 3 A-level projects. New A work requires closing or pausing another. Service levels. Define response times and delivery windows. Publish them to collaborators and clients. Recovery windows. Schedule decompression days after launches or heavy pushes. Predictable guardrails protect quality and morale. Without them, even good news becomes operational fatigue. Not every update deserves a microphone. Use amplification selectively. Speak up when you need to. Clarify direction for stakeholders. Defend boundaries, scope creep, timeline pressure, ethical lines. Stummertend, milestones that galvanize teams or communities. Advocate for others whose opportunities you can open. Stay quiet when you're tempted to explain decisions out of guilt. You're asked to perform transparency without purpose. Conversations is clearly bait for conflict. Structure for visible messages. Headline, one sentence with the why. 3 bullets, what changes, who benefits, what to do next. Close, where to send questions or opt in, out. Clarity reduces follow-up churn and preserves attention. As you hold lines, expect friction, accusations of selfishness, distance, or ingratitude. Respond with consequence management, not emotion. Restate the scope. I'm focused on mandate. Offer the path. Here's how we can work together within that. Hold the line. I won't be able to X. If escalation continues, exit the exchange. Repeating boundaries is compliance training. Doing it once clearly is leadership. Visibility magnifies choices. Codify essentials, so integrity does not depend on mood. Truth, no embellished outcomes. Report what happened and what didn't. Attribution, credit collaborators by name. Share the stage when possible. Consent, Confirm before sharing others' stories, images, or data. Conflicts. Disclose relationships that could bias decisions. Corrections. When wrong, fix and note the change, briefly and publicly. Write these into a one-page operating values and share with your core circle. Practiced values become culture. Unspoken values erode under pressure. A frequent theme in the original message is generational impact. Translate that into design. Document procedures, how you intake work, decide priorities, allocate funds. Build a small repository, files, templates, checklists others can use. Create a mentorship loop, even informal, so future contributors learn and improve the system rather than restart it. Legacy is less about big statements and more about reusable clarity. If your work would survive a month away, you're building legacy. If it collapses without you, you're building dependence. You may notice repeating numbers, repeated phrases in conversations, or songs that land precisely. Treat signals as prompts to pay attention, not as automatic green lights. A simple approach. Pause. Note what decision or doubt you're carrying. Pattern. Ask if this aligns with your written mandate and current plan. Pilot. Test a small version. Email, short call, draft deck. Proceed. If the pilot yields signal value, scale. If not, discard. Signals start exploration. Evidence closes decisions. Acceleration exposes weak joints. Keep a brief risk register. People risk, key person unavailable. Mitigation. Cross-train, document. Keep a bench of trusted contractors. Cash flow risk. Delayed payments. Mitigation. Deposits. Milestone billing. Reserve target equal to 8 to 12 weeks of ops. Scope risk. Creep without capacity. Mitigation. Change order policy. Write add-ons with costs and dates. Reputation risk. Public mistake. Mitigation. Pre-review sensitive outputs. Standard correction protocol. Revisit this register monthly. Prevention offsets reactivity. Part of unveiling is retiring roles that kept you small. The automatic helper, the chronic explainer, the quiet absorber of other people's urgency. Reassignment is not cruelty. It is accuracy. Update your internal job description. From always available, endlessly flexible, silent fixer. To purpose-aligned builder, boundary-keeping collaborator, calm leader. Write it down. Permission comes from clarity, more than from permission granted by others. Ease in this context is frictionless alignment, not laziness. You'll recognize it when introductions land without lobbying, when approvals arrive with minimal edits, and when work flows through prepared systems. To preserve ease, keep checklists for recurring tasks. Don't rely on memory at speed. Automate small confirmations, templates, scheduling links, canned replies. Default to quiet follow-through rather than public play-by-play. Ease disappears when routine work is reinvented every time. Systematize the obvious so energy is conserved for the meaningful. Growth is not compulsory. Expand when demand outstrips capacity and quality is at risk without additional help. Stay small when intimacy drives impact or when scale would force compromises on standards. Expansion trigger test. Backlog. Persists for 4-8 weeks despite productivity. Improvements. Quality metrics wobble under load. Financials. Support added cost for at least 1 quarter. If these hold, hire or partner deliberately. Otherwise, improve process and protect pace. Acceleration brings many starts. Sustainability requires clean endings. Close projects and chapters with short rituals. Deliverable handoff. Checklist complete? Files organized. Next owner named. Debrief. What worked, what didn't. One change to implement. Thank you note. Acknowledge contributions. Close the loop. Archive. Store assets and lessons where they can be found. Good endings produce referrals and reduce rework. Your unveiling will encourage some and unsettle others. Both reactions are data about their journey, not about your worth. Keep a neutral frame. Encouraged peers. Invite collaboration. Share playbooks. Unsettled peers. Reduce proximity. Do not perform reassurance. Critics. Distinguish substance from noise. Adopt the former, release the latter. A gentle reminder, people's reactions often mirror their own negotiations with change. Your steady posture models possibility. It doesn't coerce agreement. To carry the gains from the focused window into ordinary weeks, use this quick plan, week 1 to Tritum. Tour finalize. The one-page mandate and 90-day scope. Stand up one enabling system, task board, or weekly review. Decline or defer 2 non-aligned commitments. Hold 1 focused. Conversation with a core collaborator. Week 2, publish your service levels and response windows to stakeholders. Implement the 24-hour decision pause policy. Launch a small pilot aligned with the mandate. Conduct the first weekly review. Metric, wins, frictions, next top 3. Small, visible wins build credibility and keep momentum honest. Words matter under pressure. Keep a short set of phrases ready. Boundary. I'm not available for that. And here's what I can offer instead. Scope. To include that, we'd need to adjust the timeline and resources. No. Thanks for thinking of me. I'll pass. Delay. I can revisit this on date. If timing is critical, feel free to proceed without me. Credit. This result came from names. Grateful for their work. Prepared language reduces emotional leakage and preserves relationships. Finally, maintain the practices that made unveiling possible. Quiet, succinct choices, and measured pace. If your days start filling with explanations, interruptions, and unplanned favors, return to the basics. Review the one-page mandate. Reapply the decision filter. Fit, feasibility, fairness, follow-through. Tadursahand, one commitment that doesn't serve the scope. Add 1 block of protected work time to your calendar. Reconnect with a core circle member for perspective. Acceleration is not a single event. It's a rhythm of attention and adjustment. This 2-part script has framed a compact path. Conserve, unveil, structure, sustain. The 48-hour focus was never about withholding for its own sake. It was about arriving intact to a moment that converts accumulated pressure into purposeful action. From here, the work is simple, not easy. Keep boundaries firm, let results speak, build systems that match your mandate, and treat health as infrastructure. You will likely notice that some rooms feel smaller, some conversations shorter, some requests easier to decline. That is not arrogance. It is alignment. The strongest proof of change is not a louder voice. It is a clearer life. Fewer, better commitments executed with steadiness, clarity, and care. Carry the posture forward. Calm, precise, on time. When opportunities arrive, answer with readiness rather than rush. When resistance appears, answer with boundaries rather than battles. And when momentum swells, answer with systems rather than strain. Presence, well-governed, values anchored, quietly disciplined, will say more than any performance ever could. The unveiling is not merely seen, it is lived.